Buenos dias. How are we all doing, people? I'm having myself a nice little sol with a bit of lime in it. Try and remind me of the times when we were allowed to go out of our house and go and enjoy foreign lands. That's in the distant past now, isn't it? So that's what I'm essentially trying to recreate with this. So what are you doing? What are you drinking? Look at the size of that bottle. It's a huge one. Was it 650 millilitres? So it's needed at the moment, isn't it? In the hospitality industry in general, we need kind of large portions of everything. Because that's what I'm going to talk about today. Is how, in my opinion, it's gone past a bit of a joke with the hospitality industry, and I sincerely feel now that it's kind of under attack a little bit, and there's a focus on, for whatever reason, there's a focus on either thinning out the market or destroying it altogether, and I can't really put my finger on what it is, and it's a shame. It's a real shame, because the hospitality industry is, it's what's made Britain tick. It's what's made Britain great over the years. It's the place where people go and socialise and see their friends and their family. And it's just the life's been sucked out of it gradually. And it's not just now, it's over the years, but the life's been completely sucked out of it. It's so sad. And I'm starting to get angry about it now, because it seems to be completely a non-level playing field for the hospitality industry and other industries. It just seems that any regulation and any new controls that are being put in place seem to be put on the hospitality industry. And more so in the pub industry. The pub industry is just being hit and hit and hit from all sides. And now with COVID, it's been taken to another level. So this video today is for all the people out there that work in hospitality, work in pubs, restaurants, cafes. If you're a hotel worker or managers, general managers, operations managers, area managers, this is a video for you. And it's kind of, I'm hoping that I can kind of harness everybody's feelings and express it in this video a little bit, and so hopefully give you a bit of a voice, and we'll see what happens here moving forward. And I think if everybody can come together, we can try and do something about it, and when I say do something about it, there's not kind of much at the moment that's apparent that we can do, but certainly kind of some sort of protest against what's going on. And kind of I come from a pub background mainly. I've also managed restaurants. But I started my hospitality life in pubs, and I started at 17 as a glass collector. And so what was that? That's 17. That's like 11, 21 years ago. Am I right? 21 years ago that was. And like, it was a buzz. It was great. It was fun. It was wild. It was people happy, people sorting out the differences, people chatting and talking about what they're going to do, and think, for example, for mental health, it was great because people were able to talk about their problems and listen to opinions and see kind of how to deal with their problems and that sort of thing. So it was a wonderful place. And one of the things that made it wonderful, in my opinion, was that it was cheap. It was good to go out. It was fun to go out and see your friends and family, but also there wasn't a lot of restriction. It was about the people. The people made the pub. So the people who drank there and ate there on occasion made the pub, and that's those interactions. They were the custodians of the pub and of hospitality. They were the people who drove it and who made the place alive, and so it's an essential part of our culture. I mean, cafes traditionally it wasn't a very British thing, but that's become kind of something that people still like to go out in the day and have a coffee. Largely because pubs started to become less and less viable as businesses, and kind of as a business model, and I've got my opinions on why this has happened, which I'll get to later on in the video. But it's certainly kind of really diminished the role of the British pub and kind of the hospitality sector is starting to diminish. I mean, like I remember even before my time when I first started working as a glass collector, I remember like stories of my nan and granddad. My granddad. So the traditional thing, for example, on a Sunday would be that the men, whether people agree with this now or not, I imagine that a lot don't, but the men would go out to the pub at lunchtime and go and have some beers with their friends and talk to their friends. And the women would kind of stay at home with the kids and make Sunday lunch and that sort of thing. And people were happy. So I know that times have changed. I'm not saying that that's how it should be now, but I'm just giving you kind of a feel of how it was kind of back in the day, back in the good old days. And then kind of, so after the pubs would close at maybe 2 or 3 o'clock. So it wasn't an all day thing. And then everybody would come home, everybody would have lunch, and it was just nice. It was really kind of, it was spending time with people, bouncing ideas off, caring for each other, having a laugh. And then funnily in the evening then, kind of the couples would then go out. So that might have been Sunday, but then kind of my nan and granddad then would go out of the evening, I guess on Friday and Saturday. And in the pubs where I used to drink and eat and work, I used to hear stories from older customers saying, "Oh, I knew your nan and granddad who used to come and sit here in this pub, and everybody used to know them, and everybody used to say hello." And like, what a time that was. It was great. I mean, that's how community is supposed to be. It's supposed to be people constantly touching each other and seeing each other and shaking hands and saying hello and how are you doing? Oh, I've had this problem. Okay, so how do we go about kind of fixing the issue that you have? And it was just a different world, and we've lost that. We've lost that now. And so for the pub industry now to just be under attack as it is, I think it's unacceptable. If we lose such an institution as the British pub, as a British pub, not as a pub restaurant, not as anything, not as kind of a cafe or anything like that, the British pub, I think we're going to lose a really useful element to our society for sorting problems out, for organising community, to do something great for somebody who's sick, or do something great for the local people, whatever it is, whatever it might be. Pubs have always been at the forefront of that, and they're thoroughly under attack now. And it's just not great. It's an important part of who we are. It's an important part of this country. And if we don't have that, what do we have? Where do we have to go where you can have groups of people who will organise themselves and be friendly and talk to each other and tell jokes and be upset with each other and learn how to resolve conflicts face to face, not behind a computer screen, tapping away on a keyboard and then being able to switch it off. It's not, I mean, I think there's a quote by Mike Tyson recently who said there's too many people now who've got used to talking shit because they've never had a smack in the mouth. And it's true. How true is that? When you speak to people face to face, like you realise who the idiots are, and invariably somebody puts them in their place in whatever form that takes. They get put in their place, and it doesn't happen anymore. And because of that, because it doesn't happen from a young age, and it's built up and built up and built up, and the respect is kind of hammered into them. Oh, I mean, because pubs traditionally in the past, you would have young lads who would come and they'd like try it on with the older people, and then get put in their place. And then over time, you'd see them develop and lose their immaturity and become mature and become more a member of the local community and the society. And so if we don't have that, is that the reason why we're now getting kind of people who are quite unhinged and quite extreme? Because they've got nobody to rein in those extreme thoughts. So these people who go out and smash things up, these young people, or things like, I don't know, knife crime or getting into gangs and things like that. In the past, that didn't occur on the same level it does today, and to the same extremity, the same like stabbing people and that sort of thing. A lot of these young people get disenfranchised because they're disconnected from society. They're disconnected from reality. And so their feelings that are normal to feel angry and to feel oppressed and want to push back on authority, and that's all completely normal. That's natural to the human. That's a natural instinct. And they don't have that anymore. They don't have people to put in their place when they're young, when they're really young. They don't have people, whether it's their family or not. See, that's another thing about pubs and as people grow into young adults, is in the past, regardless of whether it was your immediate mother and father that was disciplining you, people would discipline you as you were a late teen, like old enough to go and drink. You would go to pubs and people would discipline you. You'd get disciplined, just in real time, in reality, and over time. That's how you understand societal norms. And now people don't understand what's right and wrong, and don't get taught it by anybody. And that's kind of we're losing all of those kind of those important things to us as humans. I mean, what are your kind of memories of the golden age of hospitality, golden age of pubs? So, I mean, I'm going to talk a little bit about hospitality in general, but I think my concern is that pubs aren't going to survive this. Pubs won't survive now. It's gone too far, and people. There'll be a lot of hospitality businesses in general that go to the wall now, following all the COVID measures, unfortunately, and it's just so sad. It's so sad. We need to connect with people. We need to have that contact with other humans all the time. That we're a social species, and it's, in my opinion, it's been taken away from us, and you've got to question why. Got to ask yourself why now. Because a lot of it's not warranted. I mean, for the pubs, it started, in my opinion, with the smoking ban. And right, I don't smoke, and I don't really like being around smoke or kind of being next to people who are smoking and that sort of thing. But I'm really pro freedom and pro choice and like anti nanny state, because that smoking at the time was in pubs and restaurants and things. It was part of the culture. So you would have a smoking room. Like, is it just me who sees that's, if you've got a smoking room, and like when I was working in pubs when I first started, there were huge extraction systems that would take all of the smoke out of the room, and you'd know if the extraction system was broke because the room would just fill of smoke. So you'd need to kind of get it fixed. But even prior to when I was coming up, there was smoking rooms. So like, to me, it's why can you not have a smoking room, and why can people not have choice to go in one room or the other? Because that killed off a lot of the industry. There were a lot of people then who said, well, I'm a heavy smoker. I choose to smoke. I refuse to be controlled by people who tell me what I should and shouldn't do. And so they just decided, well, I'm going to stay home and I'll smoke at home and I'll drink at home. And then they found out that the the alcohol in the local supermarket was cheaper than in your local pub. So then it became a thing. Okay, I'm going to stay at home. And again, that isolation, suddenly it's better to stay at home. It's better. And then you're not having that contact with people and that constant affirmation or rejection of your ideas and your thoughts and what you think and your opinions and challenging each other. You miss out on that. So yeah, so then the smoking ban came in, and again, so that was a massive hit to the industry. And I don't see why people can't choose. And even if you have one establishment that says my establishment is no smoking, okay, so fair enough. So there you go. You've given us a choice. I'll go and drink in the non-smoking establishment, and then if the smoker wants to go and smoke in a smoking pub, then go and do that. But give people the choice. Why would you not give people the choice? And continue campaigning. Okay, so smoking's bad for your health. It is. It's terrible for your health, and it can lead to an early death, a horrible kind of death through lung cancer or whatever. So I'm against smoking. Don't get me wrong, but give people the option. Tell them that they're wrong and they shouldn't be drinking in the smoking pub. But if they want to do it, then let them do it. They're adults. So that's my stand on smoking in pubs and the smoking ban. So that already started to destroy pubs. Then kind of the duty and the tax and duty is continued to just be increased and increased and increased and increased. To where it's just squeezing the life out of businesses again. There's hardly any markup on hardly any profit to be made on just wet alone drinks. So then businesses think, well, the only way I can survive is by starting to serve food, and then a lot of that takes away from again. You can have different businesses where surely we can have different businesses where you've got kind of a wet pub that only serves drink and maybe a few cobs. And then you've got a restaurant or a gastropub or a pub that serves a range of food and different courses and whatever you want to do. But to this is why I feel that it's a coordinated strategy to get rid of drinking pubs and traditional pubs, and even to the level of hospitality in general. The difference between pubs and then restaurants, cafes, hotels is that in a pub you've got a mass of people who can all talk to each other. There's no barriers. It's freedom. And to a degree, it's democracy. It's people deciding who they speak to, who they don't speak to, who they like, who they don't like, the opinions that they like, the opinions that they don't like, the opinions that they want to challenge. But then when you compare that to, say, a restaurant is groups of people sitting down, whether it's a couple or whatever, but sitting down, separated from the other groups. And so, again, creating little echo chambers where you just talk about the things that you want to talk about and the people that you want to sit with. But you're forced to interact with a lot of different opinions and people from different backgrounds in a pub. And that's what makes it special. There's nothing else like it. There's nothing else like it out there. Then, of course, now you've got the COVID restrictions and lockdowns, which is just it's going to kill the industry. In my opinion, the pub industry, hospitality industry is going to be hugely affected, but the pub industry is close to disappearing now because people don't want to do it. People can't live having lockdowns and then the lockdown's lifted and then another lockdown comes and then they prepare themselves and then they're getting bounce back loans, they're getting putting staff on furlough and borrowing to put the staff on furlough so that they can come back, and then all the staff come back, they continue to pay them. Then there's another lockdown, there's another restriction. They have to invest in new safeguards, and less people can come into the business because you've now got to be 2 meters apart. Now you've got to go and sit down. Now you've got to hands, knees, hands, arms stretched, rah rah rah. It's like the hokey bloody cokey in it, and that's the mad thing. It's like do this, do that, change that, do this, and it's just, and it's not just the people who work there; it's the people who go in as well. Like at the moment, I won't go out personally to a hospitality business, to a restaurant, to a cafe. I've probably been no, I've not been out. Since all of these lockdowns, I've not been out and sat down in anywhere. Simply because, and like, I don't want to come across as not being supportive or anything, but it's more, for me, it's more of a protest of, I'm not eating the shit that you're feeding me. Like, so if that's what you want, that's okay, that's what it is, but I'm not going to keep going out wearing masks. I'm not going to keep going out and then not being able to speak to somebody. I'm not going to keep going out and thinking I've got to keep 2 meters. So for me now, it's only essential, and that's what I'm saying. I guarantee I'm not the only person doing this. For me, it's only essential things. If it's not essential, then I'm not going to do it, because I'm not, like, I don't want my liberty and my freedoms to be imposed on. Like, who are you to tell me that I've got to wear this mask and things for a virus with a fatality rate of less than 1%, a fatality rate less than influenza? Sorry, I mean, you can spin the reasons behind it and all of this and everything else, but I'm absolutely, like, I've had enough, and it's sickening. It's sickening that the people out there like you guys, who either go to pubs or you work in pubs or restaurants or cafes or hotels, or you manage these businesses. It's sickening that you guys have to put up with all this messing around and new measures and doing this and doing that and doing the other. It's sickening. So until it goes back to normal, I won't be kind of enabling all the mask wearing and everything else. I'll just do it when it's essential and not anymore. And I think the pub has had it a lot worse. The pubs have had it a lot worse than restaurants and things, because especially wet pubs. And I imagine there's loads of people really kind of tearing their hair out and at their wits' end now, if you're a manager of a pub that's wet led, because a lot of the other hospitality industries at least had the opportunity to serve food, so you can open. When we had the first lockdowns, you could open if you served food, but then only if people sat down, and only in maximum groups of 6, and only if everybody stayed 2 meters apart. So you had to make sure all your tables were 2 meters apart. For pubs, it's a death sentence. Because in a pub, people like to stand at the bar. People like to stand and talk. Excuse me. People like to socialise. And so to make sure that they're not able to do that in the same way, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's out of order. It's out of order. I could imagine if it was something like Ebola, that is a horrendous disease where you start to bleed from different parts of your body and eventually you die, and the mortality rate's high. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I know it's high. And you compare that and you look at this COVID-19 now, that's less than 1%. It's just not. It's not on. It's not on. And I just think. I just think it's under attack. It's a sustained intentional destruction of the pub industry. I really do. And so you've got to ask the question, why would it be under attack? Why would successive governments want to remove the British pub from our society? And in my opinion, the answer is you don't have to look very far. You look at how now the government is imposing new controls all the time to us. They want to control the people, because things like the internet have given us access to more information now. More information than ever. And it's made us distrustful of government and politicians, because we can see their bullshit. We can see when they're lying. So every time that a politician speaks, you've got tens of thousands of people going, okay, yep. Like, I'm just going to check that. Oh, okay. So no, that's not true then. So that's one thing that the governments have feel that they've lost control of over the people, is they can't tell people stuff and people believe it anymore. So that's number one. And then following that is, if they want to impose more controls because they feel that they may have lost some of that control, pubs have always been the place where people who were opposition to the government would meet to discuss strategy, to organise themselves, to form bonds and brotherhoods of people who were going to oppose what was being done. And so it does make you wonder, when you have Labour voting with the Tories to impose a new lockdown, it makes you wonder who is against who. It's not party versus party anymore, although I don't think it ever has been. It's just that people didn't realise. But it's us versus them. That's the reality of the situation right now. It really is. And so they're still fearful, because the only time that people have been able to rise up against a government in Britain is in pubs. And the people would meet in pubs and discuss in pubs and organise. And so they're taking away that ability of the people to be able to go and talk about things that are going on. We can't do that anymore. We're locked down. We can't go and talk with people and say, well, something's got to be done about this. We can't keep doing this. You haven't got... So you have people who are thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe we have got to do this. Maybe this is our life now. Maybe this is the new normal. Maybe we have got to accept that pubs might go to the wall and the industry might be destroyed. Maybe that's what we've got to do. So if you have the pubs open, what you then, in my opinion, would have is you have people getting together in the pub and going, hang on a second. This COVID thing, it's less than 1% mortality rate. Like, I get flu every year, and the mortality rate's higher for flu than it is for COVID. Oh, yeah, really? Yeah. Look, I can show you. Look. And so you've got people communicating what's going on, and then organising themselves. I mean, even to the extreme level of, like, dissidents. Kind of, when you look at things like Guy Fawkes, when he was plotting against the government, and, like, sometimes you think to yourself, like, maybe it'd be good if he was around today. I mean, after all of this, I'm seriously thinking about not burning an effigy of Guy Fawkes anymore on bonfire night. I might kind of revere him instead, because at least the bloke was action, and he was taking action against what he saw as a kind of a tyranny. So dissidents and people like that, they would organise themselves in pubs to go against impositions by the government, or to actually go against the government themselves. And the government don't like that, obviously. And even down to the point of in the recent past, hooliganism again. Like, hooliganism, in my opinion, was fueled by the wet-led pub industry, because it was about brotherhoods, and it was about getting together and organising yourself, and and even down to criminality. So like the hooliganism, I've seen it firsthand working in pubs in the years that I have. Criminality I've seen firsthand, and if you know me, and if you know kind of the first years of my pub career, you'll know what I'm talking about, and the kind of the people that I'm talking about. So criminality would get together, and they'd organise themselves, and they'd have meetings. So, like, if people who weren't involved in the pub industry think that criminality and organised crime is just done kind of, I don't know, randomly, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at the level of organisation and meetings and positions in an organisation and things like that. You'd be really surprised. So all of these things are done in pubs, and it's my belief that that is one of the reasons why our industry has started to be attacked, and people want to take that away from us. Now, am I condoning hooliganism? No. Am I condoning criminality? No. But I've got an kind of an unpopular opinion, which is that I believe that there's a place for those people in our society for a couple of reasons. When I'm saying criminality, I just want to clarify. I'm not talking about things like, I don't know, like theft or kind of like petty theft and things like kind of those sorts of crimes that hurt people directly. What I'm talking about is the kind of the larger organised element of it, and it's not good, and it should always be challenged. But there's a place for it because it keeps the people in power honest. If there are groups of people who are organising themselves constantly against the government, it is challenging the government. If there are powerful people who work outside of the controls of the government or that the government set, it keeps them honest. It keeps people in authority honest when there are people who refuse to accept authority. So when I say keep honest, I mean it keeps them doing what they should be doing, keeping themselves trained, keeping themselves on the ball, keeping themselves honest. All of those things become unnecessary when you strip away when you've got everybody under complete control. That's when it all becomes very relaxed, and there's no need now to be on your best game. There's no need to be honest anymore because everybody's controlled. We can just we'll just have a little fiddle here and we'll do this here. So like I was saying, those things, they need to be challenged and they need to be kind of constantly kept on top of and stamped out and all of that. Yes. But taking away the ability for people to organise themselves and to keep the people in power honest is not on. So that might be a bit controversial, but I just think people who are those sorts of people who were kind of the rogues of our society, very often those are the only people in the end who do stand up to authority and do stand up to inequality and corruption and things like that. They're the only people who will call it out because they're not afraid to do so. And again, with those groups of people in pubs, what you would get again is that you would get the local people, the members of that community, the members of that pub community would keep those kind of rogue elements in check, and they'd keep them in check, and that's gone. It's gone altogether. So what you've got now is the people who are involved in things like criminality. The crimes are much more extreme. It's all done organised behind closed doors and with lock and key. There's nobody else who can watch and see what they're doing. It's just that there's so many reasons not to get rid of this industry. So I just think that I don't think that the pub now serves the greater good for the government, and so unfortunately, I don't think that they care that it will fall apart and it won't be around for much longer. I just don't think there's just not going to be enough money in it, and people aren't going to have enough money to keep them going. So I just don't. We've got to start questioning, in my opinion, what if the government are doing the best thing for the people and for the pub industry. I genuinely don't think that they are. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I mean, before the one thing that governments could never take away was our space and our pub or our cafe or our whatever, but especially pubs, nobody can take that away from us. Our togetherness and our, like, us being together, and that's exactly what's happening. They're taking it away. They're taking away our ability to socialise and communicate and share experiences and keep each other in check. They're taking all of that away. And I wonder why there's kind of mental health problems and all of these things. It's because I'm not saying all of it. So there are kind of mental health problems for people, but there's also the lack of stimuli that you get from socialising. People are becoming ever more insular and isolated and introverted, and they don't want to go out their house. They don't want to see other people. It's so sad. It's so sad. So I just want to touch on kind of one of the last things that I don't know if it's kind of this is gonna be where we move to, and this is gonna be like the straw that breaks the camel's back, or what. But I just want to touch on the Great Reset that they're talking about now. That every government in the world seems to be mentioning from that's actually been passed down to them from the World Economic Forum. That COVID has given them an opportunity now to rebuild society and redesign how society works and all of these things. And it's fascinating. I mean, go to the World Economic Forum website and look up the Great Reset, and it'll tell you what they think we should be doing now as a society. And it's worrying. Like, it's pretty scary. It's like nobody possesses anything is one of their mantras. Nobody possesses anything. Less meat consumption. Everything delivered by drone. So again, it's like staying at home. Everything delivered by drone. We don't own anything. So like, what are we? What even are we? So when you look at pubs in that context, if that was the future, if you look at pubs in that context, there's no place for them. And so if that's what's happening, I don't want a part of it. And we've got to fight with every fibre against that, because it's not. Imagine a world where you don't get to go and speak to people and socialise and have fun and laugh and joke and argue and all of the good stuff that touches your inner being. Just imagine a world without that, where your four walls, that's it. That's your four walls. You can communicate with people through technology. And that's it. That's it. We can't allow that to happen. We've got to protect pub lifestyle. We've got to protect it at all costs, because it's our last social space where anything goes, and where we can test those boundaries of our communication and our social interaction. If you want to see what happens next, go to a laboratory where they put chimps and do tests on chimps, because they're our closest ancestors. So see what happens with them. It's not good. It's not good. That social interaction is really important, and we can't let the pubs go to the wall and the whole industry just be destroyed. And eventually, it's just going to be, you're only going to have restaurants. You might only have restaurants in hotels. Maybe a few cafes if we're lucky, but and so, like, what can be done though? Right now, what can be done? We're locked down. What can be done? If you've got a suggestion, please let me know in the comments. But something's got to be done. We can't just go on like this. Something has to be done, but we need to figure it out. Unless this is the way that we want to live forever. But I don't think people will put up with it forever. I think we're reaching a tipping point now. I've just seen in the news that in Denmark with the COVID restrictions, the government were going to make it mandatory to take the vaccine, which again is mind blowing. That across all the countries in the world, they've rushed through a vaccine that they say is X% effective, and then they're expecting everybody to take it up, and it's being rushed through, and it's not having all the tests that regular vaccines have. And the reason that they go through a rigorous testing process is to make sure that there's no adverse effects later on. And so to just rush it through and so it doesn't need to be approved by the health board or whatever else. How dangerous is that? So in Denmark, they've been protesting against that, and the government's backed down. And I just think that we need to do something similar for the sake of pubs. I mean, I'm not a COVID denier or anything like that. I'm going to be honest. I don't even know what it is or if it exists. What the danger? But I do know that the official statistics are that it's the mortality rate is less than 1%, and then that less than 1% is in the elderly, and the average death age of COVID is higher than the average age of death in the UK, which is again is bizarre. And then kind of, so we're saying that the official statistic is less than 1%, and then we look at all of the kind of when people are pointing out how some of the statistics are being fudged, or they're using kind of statistics in a specific way so that it looks a certain way, and they're testing the same patient in a hospital every 3 days, but then counting each one as a new case of COVID. And then you think, well, it's going to be way below that. Like, it's not worth destroying livelihoods and lives and mental health and social groups, and it's not worth all of that. So something's got to be done. We've got to figure it out. And so my advice is don't stay silent anymore. Just believe in that. Believe in the fact that you realise that this is it's the end of the industry. It's the end of the pub industry, and we can't wait for that last kind of death toll. We've got to do something now, otherwise we're going to lose an institution. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think this is the end of the pub industry? Do you think that it can take any more? Do you think I'm overreacting? Do you think I'm being a bit extreme with saying that it's the end? Or do you agree? Let me know. A lot of people I've spoken to now say that they've absolutely had enough. They can't do it anymore. They don't want to do it anymore. They're not going out anymore like me. They don't want to manage businesses anymore like a lot of my friends. So you've got to... It's a tough one. Because what do you do? We've got to decide what we're going to do. Let me know what you think. But if anybody, look, I'm here to support as well. So if anybody wants to get any messages across, if anybody wants kind of my support with anything that you're doing to make that change and to stop kind of the rot of what's going on with the hospitality industry, then get in touch and I can definitely collaborate with you, help you, do whatever I can. If you want any messages putting out on my social media, then please do. And I'll sort that out for you. Not a problem at all. Not a problem. So thanks very much. And get on over, subscribe, smash the little bell notification so that you get notified whenever I put a new video up. And then come over to Chris Russell Drinks on Facebook. Like the page, and I post a lot of stuff on there as well, so you can kind of keep up to date with what I'm doing, and you can also contact me through there as well. So it's a bit of a solemn one today, but it's just something that needs to be said, because we can't just stay silent and just allow it to keep happening. I know there's a lot of you out there that are kind of really, really in a shit position now with your businesses. You're down to your savings, you're using your savings, you're kind of really, really struggling, and if anybody wants to talk, please don't suffer in silence. Get on over to me, send me a message, and we'll start talking, because I don't want you to suffer through it. thinking that there's nobody out there that you can talk to, I'll talk to you, and I'll help you through it. So thanks very much as always for watching. Have a drink for me, and long live the pub industry. God bless. Speak to you soon. Thank you very much.